I also would appreciate from Homeland Security if they could help us understand the new rulemaking that they're involved with FOIA. The FOIA law is the law, so why do you have to develop new rulemaking, and what in the world is that going to look like?
Are you asking me a question?
Yeah.
Yes. So the GAO report recommended that we finalize our interim FOIA regulation, which embodies FOIA policy and guidance at the department. The rulemaking process is underway. We are preparing to issue it for public comment, and after which we will review the comments very carefully, and the rule will be finalized.
We will be watching that, because if Homeland Security thinks that they're going to come up with a whole other new set of rules that's different, this is, again, one of the frustrations. FOIA is what FOIA is, but every time you go to a different department and agencies, they got an old set of standards. They got different rules. They don't have standards where you just plug and play and operate equally, and that's a frustration.
And the rule is really an implementing regulation, is not intended, nor do I believe.
We're fascinated to see it. The other thing I'm terribly frustrated at is this. We talked about the scorecard, and I believe this is put out by the Department of Justice, right? You come in and do this evaluation, and there's a color-coded scheme here, and it's different categories of presumption of openness, effective system in place for responding, proactive disclosure, improved timeliness and backlog reduction.
Right.
And you know, if you sat and listened to some testimony of today and compare it to yesterday, I mean, we had as wide array of people as you can possibly have, from individuals to the New York Times, to the ACLU, to a former CBS News reporter, to Vice, I mean, we got as wide of a swatch of people as we possibly could. And there wasn't anybody that believed that in general, things were going well. And yet, when you do your own scorecard, for instance, at the Department of Justice, you're solid green. You gave yourself 5 out of 5 on presumption of openness, 5 out of 5 on an effective system in place for responding. Proactive disclosure. Are you kidding me? The Department of Justice gives themselves a 5 out of 5 on proactive disclosure. You really think anybody in the world believes the Department of Justice is the most, they're at the top of their game, they got an A+, 5 for 5? Do you really believe that?
I do.
Man,
I absolutely do.
You live in la-la land. That's the problem.
I live in
You
the
live
real
in
world,
fantasy land because it ain't working. You're a very nice person, and I'm sure most of the people are very nice people. It ain't working. 550,000 times Americans put forward a request and got a rejection saying doesn't qualify. You think that's working? Is that a presumption of openness? Do you think that's proactive disclosure? I beg to differ. I think it's absolutely fundamentally wrong. We're at the heart of why I think there is a problem, because you all think you're doing a great job.
Right. We are constantly evaluating, not just how we do at DOJ.
And your evaluation says you have no room for improvement.
Oh, that's not true at all.
Then why do you give yourself 5 out of 5?
You aren't looking at the whole.
Yes, I am.
Different categories.
I'll go through each and every one of them. I just read the different disclosures, and here it is in green, all green.
We have green for proactive disclosures. Proactive disclosures are making available to the public information.
Presumption of openness?
Exactly. The
effective system in place for responding
to requests.
Really? You got an effective system for... Look, we can argue about this. I beg to differ. We had 11, 12 people yesterday that absolutely differ. On a bipartisan way, I don't think there's anybody that would agree with you that across the board, most every one of you got great scores. And I just don't buy that. I want to ask specifically about the Department of Justice. Are you able to conduct an electronic search, or do you rely on the individual agency employees to proactively give you the information?
This, what you're talking about, I think, is a really important improvement to FOIA administration. And we do have within OIP the tools that are more sophisticated tools that are used in the e-discovery context, which allow individual email accounts to be dumped or be collected into one bucket.
So you search the universal index, is that right?
And, well, I don't think it's called a universal index, but we have tools that allow us to search.
The UNI?
We have tools that allow us to search multiple email custodians simultaneously. And we, in fact...
Do you search the electronic case files?
We do sometimes. It depends on what we would only search case files if case files were relevant to a particular FOIA request. You know, we have lots of different offices. What I want to emphasize is that technology is incredibly important to FOIA administration. And we've been at the forefront of pushing for use of more sophisticated technology to process and handle FOIA requests. We did a pilot at DOJ several years ago to show the benefits of being able to do things like searching multiple custodians at the same time.
So my understanding is that the FBI conducts a search on it does conduct searches on the Universal Index, but that system does not allow for text-based searches. But the FBI does not search the electronic case files, which contain uploaded versions of the Bureau's non-restricted investigative records, and the ECF, as it's called, the electronic case file, is text searchable. And that's the disconnect.
Right.
I don't expect you on this spot to respond to that, but I do want you to get back to us on this specific point, if you would.
Sure.
Okay.